Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. We just had a new Forza monthly show with a lot of new info on the next Forza Motorsport game. The last time Chris was on the show, he went over all of the changes to the tire model and a few other things that I covered in this video you see right now on the screen. I'll leave a link to it in the description down below so you can watch it after you're done watching this one. I'll go over everything that was talked about first and then talk a little bit about what I think of it. On the show we just had, Chris mentioned that the last playtest happened in August 14th, and it was entirely focused on the multiplayer aspect of the game. Even Tora was invited to give their feedback. Players have been vocal about the hopper system of the last few Forza Motorsport games that allows you to quickly jump in and out of races. Problem is, the community wanted more. The team has been focusing on the multiplayer from the very beginning, and this allowed them to really rethink the whole thing from the ground up. Chris said that if players have asked for a specific feature, there's a good chance it might be in the game in some shape or form. One of the things they tested in the last playtest was the new live events feature. There will be a calendar with active and upcoming events, all of which will have an open practice and qualifying portion, followed by a featured race. The team is experimenting with the structure and timing of these events, so they haven't landed on a format for that just yet. The open practice portion has a corner mastery feature that's new to the series. Now, corner mastery systems are nothing new in racing games. Games like Need for Speed Shift and Project Cars 3 have it, but Chris said this is going to be a step up from that in that it's gonna be way more granular. Rather than just showing your sector times like racing games usually do, the game will actually score every corner you take and give you a better idea of how to improve any sector you might be going slower. They also focused a lot of the last playtest on endurance races, which go hand in hand with the new pit strategy with fuel consumption and tire wear with different tire compounds of the new game. As I said in my other video, Forza Motorsport 7 does have fuel consumption, but it does not allow you to choose how much fuel you want to carry, which limits your strategies, and the same goes for tires. There are different tires, but not tire compounds, and tire wear is only featured in the one hopper, so it's not a big part of the game. For the endurance races, they had an open practice and qualifying going on for hours, allowing players to jump in and out at whatever time was more convenient to them, and then they could return in the future to take part in the actual featured race. They're testing having these different portions running at different times. Chris mentioned the team could go for setting up open practice and qualifying through the week with the featured race running on the weekend. Or they could go for open practice and qualifying during the day with the actual race taking place at night. When we talk about the structured events, Gran Turismo Sport comes to mind, but the way Chris has been talking about it makes me think more of iRacing than Gran Turismo Sport, in the sense that these are meant to be big spotlight events where you actually get prepared for. There's a new playtest in planning, but Chris stopped short of telling us what it's gonna be about or when it's gonna be happening. Chris seems to be holding off on making a big splash given we're close to the launch of Forza Horizon 5, but I would expect news on the next Forza Motorsport game to ramp up quite a lot once Horizon 5 is out. That's all he talked about during the show. If you're here just to catch up on the news, feel free to close the video now. Just leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it. Now I just want to quickly go over what I think of all of this. I like how Chris started the first round of news from a few months ago by focusing on the tire models. To me, the way a racing game feels is the most important aspect. Multiplayer is also something I consider to be very important to racing games, despite being someone who probably plays racing games offline more than anything else these days. I like how they're focusing on having these more structured races that really make you feel like you're setting up for something important, and on top of that, the penalty system introduced with Forza Motorsport 7 will round up the experience for more dedicated players, and I think it's great. My only concern in regards to the multiplayer so far is how far they're leaning into the hardcore aspect of the game. It's awesome that the game so far has allowed players to jump in and out of races quickly without the need for setting aside hours of their day to do just a couple of races, and I hope that doesn't go away. The more options, the better. Chris gave us an example where qualifying would run through the entire week, with races taking place over the weekend, and I think that's too long to be focused on the same thing. A lot of people, myself included, don't like the fact that Gran Turismo Sport changed the daily races, which used to be actually daily, to a weekly rotation of events because it's a really long time to be doing the same races over and over again. If you force everyone to focus on just one portion of that race, be it open practice or qualifying for this long, a lot of people are just gonna put the game down and move on to something else. And using the other example Chris gave about running qualifying during the day and the races at night, how do you determine that? What happens in places with a 12-hour difference? Will the multiplayer be sectioned off by region? If it is, then it's a problem. Back when I used to live in Japan, it was really hard to find players online in Forza Motorsport 7 because not a whole lot of people play the game over there. And even here in Brazil, back when I still used to play the game online, I would still be sitting in an empty hopper for long enough for the game to kick me back to the main screen. It needs to be worldwide. I think the ideal approach is to have more than 3 races running every single day, but with a set number of tries for qualifying. If you allow people to run as many laps as they want, you end up with a game that feels more like a full-time job than something you have fun with. As for the corner mastery system, I'm a bit skeptical. I think the best way to be fast around any track is by looking at what the fastest players are doing, and Forza Motorsport 7 already does a great job at that with the replays and telemetry. If you get too technical about a particular corner and rely too much on data that's being generated based on what you're doing, you'll be focused too much on that sector of the track rather than stringing everything together. At the end of the day, it's a matter of practice. The more time you put into something, the better you get at it, especially if you're having fun. But I know there are a lot of data-driven people that this caters to. I'm obviously speaking for myself here. Of course, everything I'm talking about here is based on what Chris said of the playtest. The final game will be much different, and I don't expect any of these problems to launch with the game. Hopefully, at least. Other than that, I'm pretty excited about the game. I love Forza and I want the next game to be the step up we're all expecting. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.